All right. Welcome back. We are ACI Course 8, Class 9. How about that? May 30th, 2025. Next class, we're Friday. On Monday, at the start of class, I'll assign the final exam questions for you guys to teach me. So be sure to be here for class to get an assignment. All right, so let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. See them there, gazing at you with their unconditional love for you. Bless. Bless. Smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Deep down, we know this is what we're meant to be. And so we turn our minds back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. And they're so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of the Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamya Tayani. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every single other. In looking at the quiz, I don't think I did a good job explaining how long the length of time of one great eon. So just to get it clear, the reason we want to know how long is one great eon is because it takes 3 times 10 to the 60th of those to reach our Buddhahood once we get bodhicitta.
That's weird. Your
So-
sound keeps cutting out.
Oh, my sound keeps cutting out.
Maybe it's your internet, Chris.
Is it? Sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. I listen to Lama, okay.
My side also okay.
Yes.
Wait, now I need to wait.
I'll put captions on.
Yeah, no. Okay. So remember the thing about the first humans, their lifespans are indeterminately long, meaning a specific time, but really, really long. And then they get non-virtuous and it drops down to 80,000 and then down to 10. So one great eon for a brand new planet, its first great eon, is the time it takes for that long lifetime to go down to 10 is one great eon. But then the next great eon is the time it takes for the lifespans to go up from 10 to 80,000 and back down to 10. That's another intermediate eon. And then as it goes through the 19 of those, it gets to the 20th. And then it goes down and back up again. No. You must go, I don't know what happens at the end. But 80 of those cycles is one great eon. Right? Each of those cycles is an eon, an intermediate eon. 80 intermediate eons is a great eon. And 3 times 10 to the 60th great eons is how long it takes sutra to gather enough goodness to purify and make merit. It's like gads. All right. So maybe that's how long we've been at this. In which case, finishing our ACI, getting our certificates is no sweat. All right, let's just do it. Get our initiation and get on with this.
Dilemma, but we're still alive. So that means that we're doing something good, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we're human. We're not that
Right.
mosquito that's buzzing
Right.
around.
Right.
Yay. Yes, Kong Li.
Teacher, regarding the drawing that I have the other day, I found that there are some number of years there. I hear me? The drawing that I have, I mean there are age and years there. Maybe I can share, but this one is towards desire round, and then the formless round and form round. So maybe, but I cannot share it here. Where should I put it so that everybody can see? I think Victor also can have some info about it, but that one I still haven't figured out.
How about if you email it to people? Can you do that?
Only you can pass it to me. I can email to all the classmates here. I have the email list.
Okay,
No
let's-
problem. But
okay.
another problem, it is in Chinese. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a drawing actually. Can pretty clear, so maybe can have a look at it and then, so
Yeah.
just get a picture. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, teacher. Regarding these are 1 great eon time frame. Actually, I think the quiz what teacher explained last time is correct, but the quiz is like it put like for the formation there is 20 intermediate eons, and then the continuation 20, another 20, and then the destruction another 20. But then the quiz mentioned after the destruction there's another 20 intermediate eons.
Right.
So that sum it up to be 80 exactly.
Right. We just don't know what's going on in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Fourth
It
one.
don't mention, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So all of this course about the realms has been, if you recall, so that we understand better who it is that we are pledging to help stop their suffering. Since we're saying, I will bring all beings to their total enlightenment. And then the second reason we study it is to clarify for us the possibilities of existence that would mean possibilities for our own selves. I know I keep getting that. For future lives. Which is probably a little scary, right? Or a lot scary. Not because Buddha said so, but because our growing understanding of karma and emptiness. If it's true that my nature is blank, then the nature I perceive myself as having is forced on me by as ripening results of imprints made in this consciousness by what it has seen, it's been aware of itself thinking, saying, and doing towards other from any of those lifetimes from before up until this moment. And every experience I've ever had has been those ripening results, and every interaction with those ripening results has imprinted this mind that will be future results. And that process is constant. So if I've been aware of myself being, in any way cruel, it is possible for me to ripen seeds of others being cruel to me. And we go, yeah, of course. So somebody's mean to me on the bus. But if one of those cruel seeds is the one that pops out at that crucial moment that's called the end of this life, not just when the body dies, but when the mind finally makes this final shift, then that seed colors the whole next existence, not just moment by moment. Other seeds fill in the details, but that one is the one that goes. And so now the seed planting that we do moment by moment now, it becomes pretty important, because we realize that it'll be like a numbers game, that moment of death. We don't, unless we're really, really highly trained, we have no control over that process. And so if we've got 2 trillion kindness seeds and 5 unkindness seeds, the likelihood of an unkindness seed popping is pretty remote because we've got so many goodness seeds. But the reverse is also true, right? And then if we're like pretty 50-50, then it's 50-50. We get a higher or a lower birth. And then as we're understanding more and more about our spiritual life, we don't even want a form realm birth or a formless realm birth. They're just dead ends in a suffering realm. They're not desire realm anymore, but there's still suffering. That what we want, right, is to finish the transformation before we lose the opportunity, or at least another human life, but then a human life that's one that has our faculties, that's in the Dharma, right? It's like we're getting pretty specific, which means we need to plant our seeds in a pretty specific way a lot, or really powerfully, or both, really powerfully and a lot. So Geshe-la ends this whole course with a very quick introduction into the death awareness practice. So it comes in the Lam Rim very, very early. In the Lam Rim, just to get into the Lam Rim, something has woken us up. This world there's something broken about it. This isn't working. We go searching. We find a teacher. We ask them to teach us. They say, get the essence of your life. What do you mean by that? Look at your opportunities that you've got. Oh my gosh, they say, right? And we learn our leisures and fortunes. And then if we don't figure it out ourselves, oh my gosh, I could lose those at any moment. Then, you go back to the teacher and they go, wow, how'd that go? And yeah, I really see I am really, really, really fortunate. Great. And they go, yeah, right. Think about it. How old are you? Do you still know everybody you've ever met? Are they still living? You know, have you lost anybody in your life? Oh, don't you think it could be you? Oh, right. So really the next thing they say is, okay, impermanence. Go investigate impermanence. And I don't know, I remember years ago when I was first learning impermanence. Yeah, everything's gonna end. The bad things are gonna end. So not to worry, right? Just do your best. It's gonna end. Good things are gonna end. So don't get so attached to them. Change is gonna happen. It helps us cope, right? To say, yeah, this too shall pass. My mother used to say that. And it's helpful. And that is a realization of impermanence, but it's not deep enough. It's not deep enough to motivate us. It's deep enough to go, okay, I can chill about this upset that I'm having, but it's not deep enough to light the fire under us to do this karmic gardening with the intensity that's necessary in order to close the doors to lesser rebirth and technically close the doors to higher rebirth and make sure we're funneling our being towards, at the very least, more human life in the Dharma. And that's pretty specific, right? That's a pretty specific seeds. All right, so this class becomes this, and next class are the death awareness practice. Where's my share? Eight for class 8. So in my groups that I've started from course 1 and gone through sequentially, we've already done this death awareness meditation. But I have to admit, I don't remember with this group if we started from 1 and went through, or has this group accumulated along the way? My question is, has everybody done that death awareness practice module? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Okay, so then this is review. So we're on the LAM, the path, study of impermanence. Mitakpa. Chiwa mitakpa, here it is. Chiwa mitakpa means death. So you would think Chiwa mitakpa would mean death impermanence, which in English would mean, even death will pass, right? It's impermanent, it's temporary. It's like, it's not meaningful in English. It's like the only, right? What is that phrase? The only sure thing in life is death and taxes. So this would contradict that. What this means is the Chiwa Mitakpa is a special topic within the LAM topic of impermanence. And it means my death. My death reveals my impermanence. There's no my in the term, but we could study a death awareness practice and apply it to our, grandma or our dog or cat, but that's really not the point. The point is it's about our own being, our own death, is to bring this home so that the conclusion of the practice strikes us in a way that motivates us to choose our behavior so much more carefully than we were doing before, before we met this teaching. So jiwa mitakpa literally means death, impermanence, but it's this becoming aware of my death, so that I become aware of my own impermanence. Another way to say this is jiwa gomba. Remember the word gomba? It means meditation, but meditation with the connotation of getting used to something. So we think of meditation, on my cushion, my mind single point of focus, etc. But then there's the gomba of when you're out walking around, the gomba being kind, right? Even when everybody's in your face. So getting used to, meaning something becomes so familiar, so ingrained that a certain behavior would be automatic. So jiwa gomba is this idea of getting so aware, having this certain state of mind, state of heart, of awareness of my own imminent death, that it colors my choice of behavior. So jiwa gomba really more literally says death meditation. In Jetson Kapa's Lomrim Chemo, he calls it chiwa drempa gompa. Drempa is that also a meditation term, which is that quality of mind that keeps you on your object. It's called recollection, but recollection sounds like object's gone, I go and I get it back. Like that is baby drempa. But full-on drempa is when you've got your mind tethered to the object, right? The elephant is tied to the post and we can't get off the object anymore, is when our drempa is full on. We're recollecting our object all the time, meaning holding it all the time. So Jetson Kappa says, look, really the connotation of jiwa mitakpa is jiwa drempa gompa, meaning having this recollection, getting used to having a recollection of my death moment by moment. Somebody, who was getting taught this said, oh, it's the idea I die today. And that's absolutely correct. Like when you wake up first thing in the morning, wow, I didn't die yesterday. I died today. And when we first hear this, and maybe the first 50 times we hear this, our minds go, no, she means maybe I'll die today, or as if I'll die today. And technically, it doesn't mean that. It means growing this attitude of being convinced that today's our last day. And it doesn't mean, oh, well then, I'm going to get sick and weak and I can't do anything today. It's like, it's as if you are as vibrant as you are now, but then at the end of the day, done. And how would that influence what you choose to do? How you choose to interact with whoever arises. All right, Chiwa Drempa Gompa. So, just imagine today and what you were planning on doing today after class. And then, I don't know, you get a call from your doctor or your pastor or somebody and says, you know what, I'm so sorry to tell you, but at midnight tonight, you're gonna die. Right? I don't know how to tell you this, but I know, it's gonna happen, so be prepared. Would you go do the same thing that you were gonna do today? No, you'd do something different. Right? Because your criteria would suddenly be different for what's important. And you would make every moment of this day count, wouldn't we? And we say, oh, that's so dramatic. But technically, we don't know, do we? We think we do based on sort of statistics. I've lived this long. Average lifespans are such and such. I'm actually getting close to the average lifespan. Right? We have this assumption that because we've lived this long, we've got some amount of time in the future. And so we are willing to put things off. Right? We have criteria and we decide, And even after we've heard and done the death awareness practice, we still, right? We're at a different level than we were before, but we still get complacent. We still, anyway. Chiwa Drempa Gompa. It really is true that we could be dead in any 4 minutes. Because if something were to happen that our, orifice for gaining air gets plugged, it only takes 4 minutes without oxygen for the brain to die in ordinary circumstances. And we don't know, do we? So Jetsun Kappa teaches this 4-part practice to train ourselves in our death awareness, our own death awareness, not others' death awareness, our own death awareness. He gives it to us in these 4 parts. Chiwar Magompe Nyemik. Chiwar Drempa Gompe Penyon. Chi Lojitar Kepa. And the 4th one, how to do it. Look how good our Tibetan's getting. Sounded like English to me. I don't have the Tibetan for the how to do it part. So these are the 4 steps of the death awareness teaching. And then in the how to do it, there are 3 principles and 3 considerations for each principle. Remember that? So the Chiwar Magompe Nyemik means the problems of not, Magompe means not meditating on death, but it doesn't mean not sitting on your cushion and meditating. It means not having this gotten used to today's my last day state of mind. The problems of not cultivating that state of mind. Chiwar Magombe Nimik. The first one is that without this awareness, we'll continue to concentrate on gaining small pleasures of worldly life as our main focus of life. So ordinary human life, nothing bad about it necessarily, to want to grow up, get a job, have a family, take care of those families' needs pleasurably, nicely, take them on vacations, educate the children, keep them fed and dressed, right? It's like nothing wrong with that. That's what it is to be human. And then we die and they die and we lose it all. So included in that is things like, our things we do for our reputation, for our own health, right? Everything involved in a usual worldly life. It will just go on like that. Nothing will motivate us to do anything different. Second problem of not cultivating death awareness is that we're just complacent. We're complacent about even those things in worldly life, really. Oh, I've got enough time. And I'll finish my ACI homeworks and quizzes later. Oh, I'll do that later. The later never comes, if you've noticed, if you've lived long enough to notice. With strong death awareness, we'll prioritize those things. And maybe they are something to just put off for later, but maybe they're not. Master Shantideva emphasized, like he knows our mind resist putting in the effort that it would take to really live with a keen death awareness. And our Kachik says, come on, nobody can really live with that intensity all the time, as if they're going to die 4 minutes from now. And he goes, look, if I ask you to carry a bowl full of oil that's like so full up to the meniscus, carry that bowl of oil across the room and don't spill a drop, you'd go, I can't do that. And he said, yeah, but if I hold a knife to your throat and say, carry that bowl of oil across the room and don't spill a drop, could you do it? Yeah, right? I don't know how long it will take, doesn't matter, but I could be so careful to save my life, right? He goes, right. And it's funny, a keen death awareness is like that. I'm doing this to save my life. And the death awareness is not about saving life or not saving life. It's about the intensity of the focus and the choice of behavior. Right? And that was Shantideva's point. Your intensity of focus would increase a lot if you thought your life depended upon that intensity of focus. And guess what? It does. Not this life, but the circumstances of future lives depends upon the intensity of focus that we have moment by moment, because it's through that we choose our behaviors instead of stay on automatic pilot. So without a keen death awareness, we just stay on automatic pilot is the point. So these first three are about staying on automatic pilot. Third problem. Even if we do have some Dharma practice, we're still doing that Dharma practice for some worldly reason, some selfishly involved reason for our reputation or some other worldly benefit. It's just the ordinarily normal self-involved state of mind that we're trying to grow our wisdom to overcome. But if we haven't yet, it's still in there. And it's still coloring our perception of situations, and it's coloring our choices of reactions to those situations, even when we're trying to choose a different response. Our choice is still colored by this. How is it going to impact me, my reputation, my needs, etc.? Geshe-la shared that in that J-Top Yeshe, the aftermath wisdom of your direct perception, one of the awarenesses that becomes real is how up until those moments, you have never done anything that has not been stained with this self-interest. He said it's just one of those really disturbing ahas that you come out with. Although you also know that now that that cycle is over, right? You won't be replanting things in that way anymore. So that even our highest spiritual practices are still stained with some underlying, how do I look? What do other people think of me? Right? And etc. It's not that we're bad, it's that we're stained, right? Our mind is stained. So death meditation helps us become more aware of this pollution. Geshe-la called it pollution. It doesn't make it stop, but we become more aware of it. The fourth problem with not cultivating death awareness is that without death awareness, even our spiritual practices will become like on automatic pilot. I have to confess, I'm there. And they then are susceptible to worldly distractions. When we get into that space, we're dangerously close to giving up, like to losing our seeds to stay engaged. If when we sit down to do our daily sit, we had this keen awareness, this is my last one. Would its intensity be different than, okay, now I do this, and now I do that, and now I do this? If this was my last chance, I don't know, part of me goes, why would I bother if it's my last chance? The other part of me says, I would sit down and meditate and knock it up, right? Forget the rest of what I need to do today. I'll get in there and do my sadhana all day. Again, we hear this teaching, particularly when we hear it for the first time, and we think, oh, it means pretending. When I sit down for my sit, I can pretend, all right, I'm going to die. I'll increase the power. And they insist, no, it's not just pretend you're gonna die today. It's know that you're gonna die today. But right, to hear myself say that to myself, I get, it's like, no, I don't know that, right? I mean, yeah, it's possible. But I don't wake up in the morning thinking, okay, today's my last day. And they say, and that's a shame. Our practice would be more effective if we did. Not in a sense of terror or fear or frantic, but in this really healthy sense of awareness that this me that I think is going along the same, doing what I do. I've got time. I'm doing this well enough. That complacency is not enough to guarantee that that the next life would keep me in the Dharma necessarily. Okay. So there's really this different state of heart from maybe I'll die today to convincing ourselves to live knowing today's our last day. You don't go around saying to everybody, today's my last day. You better hug me. But I would go around, right? I go to line dance on Fridays. And at the line dance, hi, see you on Monday, right? Everybody have a nice weekend, because I assume I'm coming back on Monday. If I really were convinced that this is my last day for line dance, first of all, I would have more fun. Second of all, before I leave, I would go and hug everybody. And they'd go, what's up with you, Sarani? I might scare somebody doing that. But we would be different, wouldn't we? People who've had near-death experiences, it impacts them so dramatically, mostly, not everybody. Because again, none of it is in it from it. All right, we're still going through the disadvantages of not having keen death awareness. Without death awareness, we get more and more attached to life, meaning the things of life that we think we need for our comfort and survival get more and more important the older we get. When you're a young person, you can put a 50-pound backpack on your back and have a great time going hiking in the woods. And then, I don't know, by the time you're a certain age, it's like, no, I need a tent. And then, no, I need a hot shower at the end of the day. And then, no, I can't carry the backpack, right? Our criteria changes for what's necessary. Is a hot shower necessary? No, not any more so than it was when we were a kid. But our perception of things that are wants turn to needs. And, not because we've gotten sloppy or lazy or more selfish necessarily. It's just the nature of what our mind does as we have this complacency about life. The sixth problem with not becoming aware of our death awareness is without having lived with it as we die, that experience includes this intense regret about the life just lived. Apparently, all those stories about going through a life review are accurate, that somewhere along the process, before all the withdrawal of the elements, there is a time where you like see everything that's happened. Right? I can't really conceive of what that would be like, but you have this recognition of how you've been in this life and the things you accomplished. And you have this keen aware of the things that you wanted to do but never did, or did that didn't mean to do. And there's a regret for things done that you wished you'd hadn't, and there's a regret for things not done that you'd wished you'd had. And apparently in that frame of being, that regret is really, really painful. So in our tradition, regret is the only unpleasant state of mind that's a virtue. Here they don't talk about whether in the dying process, whether that regret is virtue or not. I'm guessing it still is, but it's really painful. It's really unpleasant, and it's really distracting. So it's going to color what the mind is attending to as it's going through the rest of these withdrawals. So because it's losing, we're losing this consistency of experience that we're ripening as humans. We're losing that. The mind's getting freaked out because it doesn't have the brain to tether it anymore. And it's right, it's just open to any kind of action reaction that's going on. And in that, all those regrets about life, it's agitating for that mind, which puts us in this not so great position at the moment, that end of that, the final end of that life and the next projecting karma come up. Whereas if we have this life review and it's like, right, 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 you don't have that agitated regret that is so disturbing, that as all of that is dissolving away, right, we don't have the oh but state of mind that we would have if those regrets are right, are still, if those regrets are in there. So then step 2, penyon, there's the word. Chua drempa gompe penyon. Penyon means the benefits. So the benefits of getting used to the awareness of our death, the benefits of growing this healthy, educated, I die today attitude. First one is our practice will be pure, they call it. So without it, our Dharma practice is still infected with this self-interest. We talked about that as one of the problems of not cultivating death awareness. With death awareness, our practice becomes more and more important to us, more interesting than worldly things. Like not, yeah, I guess. It would influence us such that we would probably quit doing some things that we had been doing regularly. I remember when we're teaching this originally, we might say, if you have a bunch of buddies and you go out to the bar every Friday, and then as your Dharma practice grows, you're recognizing like this, that I really am not interested in this anymore. I love my buddies, but we just don't have anything in common anymore. And we're all making, such rotten karmic seeds while we're here that I don't want to go anymore. And so then your dilemma is, do you sit down with them and say, look, guys, I can't do this anymore for this reason, or do you just make excuses? Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to be there today. Sorry, I'm not going to be there today. And finally, they quit including you. I don't know. You have to choose, right? Which they're ready to hear. The point is not, you don't have to sit down and say, I don't want to be involved in this anymore. But people in life that we connect to in pre-dharma ways, we won't connect to necessarily anymore. And it's okay to let those relationships go. Right? You don't need to make them go with you. You don't need to even necessarily tell them why. You can just fade away, or you can sit down and say, I love you very much, but my life's going in a different direction. So I won't see you very often anymore, right? However you want to do it. But the benefit of a death awareness is actually that. And it sounds like that's not a benefit, right? That's a problem, but it's not a problem, it's a benefit. The problem was staying in those relationships that kept us in that worldly pattern. All right. Second one, our practice will gain power. So similarly, it's just a building on the first benefit, is that when our practice becomes greater and greater priority, when we are working with our practice, our meditation, our tracking our vows, our study, our service, all of it increases in intensity. Geshe-la said, if you're visualizing your holy being, and today's session is the last chance you're going to get to do that, would your visualization be more intense than it has been before? Yeah, you take the time to really get them clear and know they're there and beg them for their help. Please. Right, everything would increase in this realness of it, the need of it, that meditative quality called intensity would increase a lot. Third benefit is the phrase is, it helps us get started. So meaning when we're having the doldrums, right? We've got the lazies and we need to kickstart our practice again. A good place to kickstart it is to go back through this death awareness practice, right? Because it increases the sense of urgency, a healthy urgency. Fourth benefit, it keeps us going strongly. So everyone's personal practice runs in waves. It's going really, really well. And then, life happens and things sink and gets a bit sloppy or complacent again. And then something will hopefully wake us back up again. If we find ourselves in a doldrum, we can wake ourselves up by shifting whatever practice we were, dully working on. Go back to death awareness practice. Go through the 9 again. Come to those 3 conclusions, and it'll perk us back up, get us back on track, and then use it for a while to keep us going strong. To have the death awareness, once you have it, you don't need to keep repeating the practice, but we revisit the death awareness to strengthen it back up. And when we have it strong, our practice will stay strong, even into those times that ordinarily would have made us like sink. Our practice will stay strong. And then the fifth one is it will keep you going till the end. So I think you've heard Geshe-la say that in any project, when we get about 75% through, it's human nature to slack off. It's like we've worked really, really hard to get there, and then we're losing interest a little bit. And it just, other things are coming. It's very, very common. It's common in retreat. It's common in a project. It's common at vacation. You know, at 75% of the way, it's like, all right, let's get home. So in our practice, we don't want to slack off at 75%. We want to recognize the 75% and then crank up the juice for that last 25% to finish right spectacularly instead of dropping off and having a keen death awareness. That 75% slump will not happen. So it'll keep us going strong. With any project we're dealing with, technically. Even if you had a project at work, if you went to work each day, this is my last day to work on this project, you know, I'm going to get it really fine-tuned today so that if I don't come back tomorrow, somebody else can pick it up and finish it off. Yeah. There's a sixth one. A sixth benefit is we die with satisfaction. So that life review reveals the satisfaction of knowing that the choices we made were favorable ones. Right? Not always perfect, of course, but always well considered and well attempted. No, we made hard choices for different reasons than ordinarily. We chose virtue, we chose dharma, we chose things that we're trying to be kind, right? We were trying. And when our life review is, yeah, at least once I met the dharma. Up until then, not so much, but then, yes, I really did try. We have this intense satisfaction that we lived our life meaningfully, you know, as meaningfully as we could. And not having that regret then. Geshe-la says, if you have devoted your life to Dharma for some period of time, probably you'll recognize that the people that thought you were nuts, you know, when you left the worldly life to whatever extent that was, as we all get older, Geshe-la says, at some point, those people will recognize, oh, you know, you did it right. That they're already having some kind of regrets. And they see that the person you've become is different than in some way than the person they've become. And they recognize something about what they thought was crazy choices wasn't so crazy after all. Geshe-la's speaking from his experience, no doubt. You know, I don't have people close enough to me to know me in that way, but it's the benefit is at our own death, we don't have that agitated regret. Because our life review is like, yeah, that was worth it. That was worth it. That was worth it. So death awareness gets us to this point that influences us even in worldly life, with this awareness that we have this sense of satisfaction, that we have a little better understanding of where things are coming from, and a better understanding about how my interaction with those things is creating not just my future, but the future for everyone. And that given any situation, I'm going to do my best to plant my seeds in a way that could make things better eventually. And so this keen death awareness increases this sense of satisfaction with ourselves on our path, not satisfaction as in so I can stay put, but satisfaction with, yes, being on my path is the right way, right? It's for me the most powerful thing that I can do with my life. Right? Benefit of growing our death awareness. Okay, let's take our break. We'll do 3 and 4. Stop sharing. Pause recording.
I don't remember where I was reading or listening to it, that just one moment or 1 second of a doubt when you're dying, it can kick you off of your opportunity for clear light. Just one tiny doubt.
Right. Right. But I think that means, no, yeah, I don't know. Okay. You know, certainly if the projecting karma has teenied out, right, that recognizing clear light's not going to be included, right, in what comes next.
Yeah, because at the end, it's that the karma imposed on you. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
that we can be working on this right now, really getting it, really having a conviction of, yeah,
Right.
this is my last day. I'll do my best. I'll cultivate kindness. I'll cultivate joy in everybody's heart. I mean, so many things. But at the
Right.
end,
Yeah.
But that
yeah.
would be so much, that would be so much better than any of those things you could be contemplating that would take you into like a Yiddick life or something, you know? So we, you know, don't think it's not worth it.
Yeah.
no, it
Yeah.
is worth it. But at the end, it's, you don't know what's going to ripen.
Oh, no, that's right.
Right.
But that's what, I guess that's what we have to cultivate our faith too.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been taught that at some point along our path of preparation, our understanding of karma and emptiness is clear enough or close to accurate enough and strong enough that we close the door to lesser rebirth. And so it's like to study, you know, mental seeds and the no self nature of things at some point has our whole foundation consciousness colored in that growing awareness, that full on selfishness, self-existent selfishness, unkindness seed that could push us into a hell realm birth can't be the one that ripens or can't push us into a hell realm birth. because of our understanding of karma and emptiness. It's like the goodness of understanding karma and emptiness at a certain level is enough to keep those projection karmas from sending us lesser than human or pleasure being. Now, we know pleasure being result only happens from seeds done in deep meditation. Anyway, just like we're gathering all this information to cogitate about so that our understanding of the things that we've learned through the ACI, like it's like, oh, I see that deeper meaning. Oh, I see what they were saying. Which I find such an advantage of going through these ACI courses again and again and again. Like if I weren't sharing them with somebody else, I would put them on a shelf and go on to something else. But to go over them again and again and again, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't hear that the first 5 times through. And now I'm seeing it in this other way, it's such an exercise in emptiness and karma, right? It's like they're full of great information and they're still full of great information, new information. Okay, so the third piece of that becoming aware, growing this attitude, I die today, is the Chilo Jitawa Shitar Kepa. So this J sounds like a SH when Geshe-la says it. Chilo Shitar Kepa. Chilo means death awareness. Chiwar low mind, death mind. Shitar means what kind of, and Kepa, what kind to develop. So this third section is what kind of death awareness are you talking about? And then there are 2 sections in this. The first section is the death awareness we're not talking about. And the second one is the death awareness that we are talking about. The death awareness that we're not talking about cultivating is the learning or practicing the process that we'll go through in death. So one might mistake a death awareness practice as being one where you are sitting down and imagining you are on your deathbed, losing awareness of your material world, losing awareness of your people, losing awareness, like imagining that your organs are all shutting down. It's not that. The teachings describe all of that. They describe the terror that you have as everything is decompensating and deconstructing, and it's disorienting, it's emotionally and physically painful. You're losing familiarity with everything. You're losing all orientation. Your brain shuts down. So the mind that's been using the brain, right, to give concreteness to its experience, all of a sudden is without it. It's like you're driving along the highway and all of a sudden your car disappears and the highway disappears, and like everything is disappearing, and finally your own body disappears and your personality, your identity disappears. Like if you were in a dream and in your dream you were having you lost your personal identity. Like that would be scary. I mean, that would be a nightmare, right? Like, who am I? What am I? What's going on? Maybe like that. Dying is like that. And then it gets beyond description, and it's terrifying and it's painful and it's awful. And cultivating death awareness is not about practicing that or getting used to that. They say that will come naturally. You don't need any practice. So this is not that. This awareness practice is a practice intended to motivate our moment by moment living, to enliven our living. And so, if you ask a meditator, a not in our tradition, not in Buddhist tradition meditator, why do you meditate? Most likely they're going to say, oh, for stress management, right? To be happier, to be able to face life a little easier. And that doesn't even qualify as a Buddhist practice, right? Even if you were to ask a Buddhist, why do you meditate? And they were to say, oh, to cope better. It's like, okay. And then at the very minimum, for any practice, meditation or anything else, to be considered a Buddhist, I'll get to that in a minute, we need to be concerned with our future life. This life is the arena in which we are creating the circumstances for future lives, not just the next one, but all of the next ones. And if our concern, even our concern for our new kinder behaviors, are to get a result in this lifetime, that's living by wisdom. That's great, but that is not spiritual practice. That is not Buddhist, right? So we don't care if people are Buddhist religion or not, but for our growing wisdom to be moving us towards our nirvana or Buddhahood, our concern for our behavior now needs to be because of our future lives, right? Not this one. Lesser scope Buddhist motivation, it's more complicated than this, but at one level, lowest scope is I want to close those doors to lesser rebirth. Medium scope is I want to close the doors to lesser rebirth, and I want to stop all my mental afflictions forever. I want to reach nirvana. Highest scope is I want to close those doors to lesser rebirth. I want to stop all my mental afflictions, and I want to reach that omniscience through which I can help everybody do what my teacher, my angel Buddha, is teaching me to do as well. So death meditation is cultivating this keen awareness that this opportunity that we have to create the circumstances of our future are not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that we will stay interested in the Dharma. It's not guaranteed that it will stay available to us. It's not guaranteed that even our practices of them are powerful enough to protect us in this lifetime. None of it's guaranteed. And we go, yeah, we know that. But we think, but it's but it's guaranteed for today. Right? Because here I am, and it's going to last at least until tomorrow. And if we check our own minds, it's like, well, you know, how long would you put a time frame on how long you think it's going to last? You're being in the Dharma. Well, until my body gets too sick or my mind gets too sick. And I'm still thinking, you know, that's at least 20 years away. And it's like, we don't know that, do we? And that's the purpose of going through this sequence of the death meditation, in which we come to this conclusion, oh my gosh, I have this moment of opportunity. And then next moment, oh my gosh, I've got this moment of opportunity. And then this one, and then this one, and then this one. And be in this moment doing our best to keep our mind on what's most important to us. And, you know, it's our own responsibility to decide what's most important to us. Okay. When our death awareness is clear, we will be using every moment of life's circumstances as a tool for, at minimum, closing the door to lesser rebirth. And at best, achieving this highest goal of becoming the one standing on a billion planets, helping everybody. So you don't have to start with closing the door, right? You can aspire to the highest. And what we do to reach the highest will close the lower door, will bring us to nirvana, right? And will help us reach that omniscience for everyone's benefit. But it'll only happen in our this moment interaction with everybody. Okay. So the last section, the fourth section of the teaching on death awareness practice, is how to do it. In the how to do it, we have those three principles of the death awareness. And each of those three principles has three considerations to help strengthen the principle into a realization. So realization means it has become real for us, part of our personal experience. Gaining realizations happens in deep meditation. And so each of these three has contemplations to consider on and off your cushion, so that when you do death meditation on the cushion, we can get to that deep aha. All right. So here are the three principles. Nye parchiwa, namchi manye, and chuma tokli pen. I was trying to get that class 10 out of the way and I made it worse. Forget that stuff at the bottom. Newar chipa means, the words mean death is certain. But I like to say it, my death is certain, right? Because it drives it home. Death is certain goes, yeah, everybody else's is certain. But that's not the point here. The point is, my death is certain. Namchi manye. The time of death is uncertain. I like to say, my time, the time of my death is uncertain. And Chuma Takmi Pen, when I die, nothing but the Dharma can help me. And then again, I like to fine tune that. When I die, nothing but my Dharma can help me. If you remember when we learned that, it sounds like nothing but the Dharma can help me means, oh, you know, when I die, just put the Heart Sutra on my chest and the diamond cutter under my head, and the Dharma will help me. And it's like, no, honey, it doesn't work like that. What it means is that what I learned about the Dharma will help me. And it's like, well, no, honey, it doesn't work like that either. It's how I interacted with others as a result of what I learned from the Dharma is what will help me, right? How I learned to override my belief in things, natures, and qualities in them. How I learned to override my blaming others for stuff. How I learned to train myself to care more about others' needs, others' wants, to care more about my impact on them. How I behaved as a result of what I learned from the books and the teachings and etc. Chuma Tokmi Pen. When I die, nothing but my Dharma practices will help me. Our Dharma practice guides us in what kinds of behaviors will plant the seeds in our minds, any one of which can be the projecting karma at the end of this life, and we'll be okay. The circumstances of the next life will be why can't I say that? Favorable. Imagine dying, having just learned about projecting karma and just learned about karmic seeds, but not had enough time to, work with it. And then imagine dying, having learned all of that and worked with our purification practices and worked with our kindness and going into that dying process, knowing you did your best, you've got your mind as full of Dharma as you could. Right? Even just imagining it, we can feel the difference of what a different experience it would be if we go into it really convinced that whatever seed pops at the moment will be great. The whole process of dying would be completely different. One could have seeds in one's mind such that the people around your bedside would be seeing you dying, but your experience, your personal experience would be completely different. It would be one of transformation, not even qualified as dying. Change, this dramatic, extraordinary change. It is possible, and that's the promise of Tantra, is this transformation instead of dying. So each of those three principles, my death is certain, the time of my death is uncertain, And when I die, only my Dharma can help me. Each one has 3 considerations. So for the first one, my death is certain. The consideration number 1, that the phrase is, the Lord of death is unstoppable. So we're supposed to use this instruction to analyze and investigate our beliefs that are blocking us from the realization my death is certain. So the Lord of death is unstoppable is saying that when the time of our death comes, there's no existing power that can stop it. Buddha can't stop it. God can't stop it. The best doctors can't stop it. The best medicines can't stop it. When the Lord of death comes, when the end of life, when we run out of karmic seeds for this life, you can't say, wait, stop. I'll pour some more seeds inside there. No, stop. Let's chop them up. Let's make more. Too late. It's sort of like one of these circular arguments. When the Lord of death comes, that means you're dead. When you're dead, you're dead. You can't become undead and stop it. But somewhere in that process of the dissolution happening, you are in it so far that there isn't anything that's going to stop it. And our argument is, no, I'm having my heart attack. I get to the emergency room. They sweep me in there. They give me the TPA. They stop my heart attack. They saved my life. And if we think that through, it's like, no, actually, you weren't ripening the seeds for dying. You thought you were. You were ripening your seeds to have a heart attack stopped. And so they did. If you were ripening seeds for dying, they'd have given you the TPA and it wouldn't have worked. And you would have died anyway. So to get to the realization my death is certain, we want to look at our belief. No, people's lives are saved all the time. And really work that through to see if when somebody's life is saved, was their life really saved or were they ripening something different? I mean, it is miraculous and wonderful when somebody's life is saved. But it isn't technically that their life is saved. Right? There's seeds for having not killed somebody when they could have, helped someone who was hurting that could have gone on, right? Do you understand? So it does take some cogitating to come to that. Second principle, we can't add time. The phrase is, life is continuously leaks away. Remember the image. The image for the first one is that snarling beast chained to the wall. The image for this second one was the, what do you call it? The glass thing with the sand running through. What's that called? Senior moment. You know what I mean.
The clock?
No, it's got 2 sections. The sand is on the top and it's drooning through to the bottom, and then you turn it over and it drips through. What's that called?
It's a clock. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a time clock.
Yeah, I know it has a name.
But I honestly don't know.
No, what is it? I want to call it a sundial, but that's not right. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. This thing's on the table. Half the sand has dribbled through, but it's a sealed container. So you can't oh, I'll add more sand. It's like, no. Life, we're using life seeds up from the moment of conception. You remember that teaching? You're dying from the moment you're conceived. And it's like, right, because we're using up the karmic seeds from for this life, the instant this life starts. And there's going to be a last one. And all the life saving practices that we do are not adding more sand to that thing, whatever that's called. It's not adding time to this life. But well, so why do we do them? Just to add time to future lives? We are accumulating virtue in protecting life. It will have effect, because any protecting life that we ever did, seeds, they get added to. So it is true that things we do in this life have an effect on this life. The reason we do them, though, is different. We think, yes, we can too add time. I can, take vitamins and I'll live longer, right? There's always a feed on my phone. Life extension practices, do this to make your telomeres longer. Do this to increase your apoptosis. Do this, and then they give you the figures. They did a study and 40% of people who did this got results. And so see, and it's like, yeah, but that means 60% didn't. And that means it didn't actually have any effect whatsoever. But it's, right, we do them for other reasons.
Dilemma.
Yes.
It is called a sand glass or a sand timer or an hourglass.
Hourglass, that was the word, hourglass.
And it was from Egypt and Greece before Christ in the year 1500s.
An
It's a-
hourglass, thank you.
My pleasure.
How did they know how much sand to put in a given hourglass to make a whole hour? And was it really an hour, or was it just however long it took?
It says here that it symbolizes the passage of time, mortality, and the fleeting nature of life.
Exactly. It's a perfect example. Okay. So as we are considering this consideration to show ourselves the my death is certain, we're wanting to look at this concept of how our mental seeds are ripening moment by moment. Like every seed that ripens, it includes in it me alive. Me still alive, me still alive. And not in so many words, but it's part of each ripening, because here we are. And there's only so many of those seeds, right? We're not, as we experience them, seems like we'd be replanting them, because me alive out, me alive in. But there's something about the ones that are coming out that are different than the ones going in, right? We're burning them off with every 65 per instant of this life. And there'll be a last one. And we don't know when the last one's coming. And we can't add to it. There will never be a not you in the sense of your subject side. But there will be a last moment of Sarani. There'll be a last moment of Kongli. But the subject side right? There's never a last moment of subject side. But there's never a moment where subject side is the same 2 moments in a row either. So we can't add time. Third factor in considering my death is certain is the consideration that says, even when we decide to practice Dharma, there's not enough time. Like this third consideration is there's never enough time, is the phrase. And I still don't feel like I've quite wrapped my mind around the significance of that. There's never enough time. That life does feel like that. Like both there's too much time and there's never enough time. Our attitude in worldly life tends to be, we get our careers, we get our families, we get all the things we need to do to keep up the house and the family needs and etc. And in the, like somewhere in the back of our heart or our mind is what we really want to do. And we think, well, when I get this all taken care of, then I'll go do what I really want to do. And we never really quite get there. Or when we think we do, it's like, even as we're doing that thing, it's like, well, really, I'd really like to do something else, right? We're never in that space of what I'm doing now is what I really want to do, for me, except when I'm doing this, delivering a class. But most of the time, I'm doing this, but I really want to be over there. I had it through my career life. I loved our house and our gardens and so forth. And when I was there in the garden, it was like, yeah, but I love being with my patients and I want to be at work. And then when I was at work, it's like, when do I get to go home? I was never really satisfied with where I was. It's like, and it's human nature to be like that. And it's human nature to do that in the Dharma as well. And I'm guilty of making you do it, right? We're going to start course 9, not even 2 weeks from now, or because I need to get you through this. But we do that. It's like we take a teaching, we're fully there. We really enjoy it. And then we go home and we're back in our worldly life. And then we take another teaching, and right, we just go from one to the next. And we don't take one teaching and then go into retreat and cogitate on it for 3 months. I mean, life isn't like that. We don't get to do that. And it's like we've built in this life where there never seems to be enough time. It's not that there's not enough time. It's that we're not satisfied with what we're doing in the moment for that to be exactly what we want to be doing, right? There's plenty of time when you're doing what you really want to do. If all you do is what you really want to do, then you have got plenty of time to do it all. It's the attitude of, I want to do this, but I have to do that. And it's like somehow inside there is helping us gain this realization, my death is certain. That's the part I haven't quite connected with this last one. There's never enough time. On a superficial level, right, there's never enough time because I'm going to die soon. But that's just too superficial. But I don't quite understand it any deeper. Okay, so what do we have? We have the four factors of death meditation. The problems of not cultivating our death awareness, the advantages of cultivating our death awareness, the death awareness to be cultivated and the one that's not to be cultivated, and then how to do it. How do we do it? We've got 3 principles. Principle number 1, my death is certain. Principle number 2, the time of my death is uncertain. Third one, when I die, nothing but my Dharma will help me. Nothing but the behaviors I chose, guided by what Dharma taught me, will help me, because those are the only seeds that any one of which that pops as my projecting karma, it will be okay. In the first one, my death is certain. To come to that realization, consider the Lord of Death is unstoppable. I can't add any time to this life. And in the time of my life, there's never enough time. Anyway, there's not enough time to do the things I want to do once you find them, Jim Croce. There's never enough time for even Dharma. Why is there not enough time? Because it takes 3 times 10 to the countless great eons to gather enough virtue to become a Buddha. There's not enough time in this lifetime to even do the Dharma. That's why we need Tantra. Got it? Next class, we finish the last 2 with their 3 principles each, and then get the icing on the cake, right? The, oh, therefore, which I love so much when we teach those. All right. Yes, Victor. Unmute, please.
Teacher, when we talk about these 3 principle and 3 consideration, this consideration number 2, we can't add time to this life. I see a question about this one, because from what we learn is like everything is ripening of the seed. So if we plant enough seed for my longer life, like protecting life, we should be able to add life just like same as like if we plant enough seed for the money, then we should have wealth, or we should gain more material things.
Yeah,
But
it
this
does.
is not.
It does seem like that,
Yeah.
but apparently not. But it
I mean,
is,
then,
keep considering.
yeah, but then, I mean, if we agree with this principle or with this consideration, then we are thinking like, okay, then nothing much I should do. I mean, we'll go to another extreme, because everything is already fixed. The length of my life is already fixed. Whether I kill more or I don't kill, I still die at a certain age.
Right. 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 And you know, in one sense, the conclusion would be, okay, it doesn't matter what I do. And in the other sense, it shows us a little more clearly what they mean by in our spiritual path, we don't do anything to benefit this life. We do it all to benefit future lives, right? And you just touched on that. Because if the conclusion is, well, it doesn't matter what I do in this life then, because it's not going to make any difference. It's like, right, that's the point. We're doing everything we do in the Dharma for future life benefits. Because we can't extend this life.
But teacher, because when we learn about law of karma, it say when a deed is done, you should get a result. But it did not say that you will get a result in next life. So what I mean is like if I did a seed to protect life, to save more people who fall sick, I should increase my lifespan in this life or maybe next life.
All right. Or any life after that. Do you remember that
Yeah.
teaching? Karma
Yeah,
can
yeah.
ripen. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so literally we should be able to increase the lifespan of this life. I mean, from that understanding, it's like if I
Yeah.
have planted enough seed.
What does it take to get a seed planted today to ripen fast enough to see the connection between what I did today and that result.
Yeah, we do coffee meditation on
Yeah,
way.
that's one.
And then we keep adding on the similar type of seeds.
Right. To do a lot of it to
Yeah,
powerful karmic objects
yeah,
with a
and
high
then
level of
we,
awareness.
yeah,
Right.
and then
Right.
we like reduce the power of those bad seeds we did by using
Right.
4 power. Yeah,
Right. So in order to add life, my own life, I would have to repeatedly save the life of a really powerful karmic object and rejoice like crazy that I did it. And I'd have to stop killing any other being in any way, wouldn't I?
yeah,
So theoretically, you could add life,
yeah.
but practically speaking, apparently not likely. Because can we stop killing?
Yeah, I mean not in I mean accidentally way. I mean after learning all this, we still step on the ants or kill the insects flying.
Right. You'd have to maybe go into deep, deep retreat, and eat just flower petals. But I don't know, we still poop, and there's bacteria in the poop that can't live outside the body.
Every time you breathe in.
Right, right.
Teacher,
And yet, right, lifespans do get longer. So there's beings, like they say, Arya Nagarjuna, they don't know how long he lived. They say 600 years, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute. So was he born with 600 years worth of life seeds, or did his practices extend his life? And, according to this teaching, he must have had 600 years worth of life seeds from a
But what about
lot
those?
of,
teacher, maybe put it this way, my
yes.
understanding, even if we add life, we are still a step closer to death. So we cannot, So, I mean, no matter how long you add to it, we are a step closer to death. And then, it's not like Buddha or, Bodhisattva, they have their long life, forever. So to me, it is like, it cannot add time means that we are still a step closer, nearer to death,
yeah,
nearer to death.
that's
So,
right. And Victor's point was, but if in my every step closer to death, I'm saving lives, shouldn't that somehow
yeah.
override, if it's true that by giving money away, I can get wealthy in this life?
So maybe normally if let's say we don't save life, we have 17 years of age. And then if let's say we save, maybe we have 75. So, we still have to die.
Yeah. Keep contemplating. Maybe your contemplation will go, no, I can add life. My death is not certain. I'm going to live 80,000 years. I've got enough time. Will that help your Dharma practice? Or will that make us more complacent? I don't know, maybe it'll help.
It's just a matter whether you really want to practice. If let's say you don't practice, I give you 8,000 years. I mean, it's still like,
I know.
that kind. Yeah. So, I mean, to me.
Right. I mean, technically, what difference does it make how long this body lives? Right? The continuum of you, the subject, it's immortal. It's our identity with this thing that's the problem. Yeah. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still wrestling with the eon thing. In there's like the, okay, formation, and then there's the 20 eons, and then there's the destruction, right? And then Geshe was saying that he thinks that the great eon is 4 of those. So would that mean that there's formation, the 20, and then destruction, formation 20, and then destruction formation, or is it a great eon where there's no destruction in between? You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think that he
We
was
don't know,
wondering,
or
yeah, he was wondering if it was 80 cycles of the 3 that makes a great eon.
well, I don't know.
Because it's not clear.
In the notes, it says he thinks that that a great eon is 4 eons of continuation, because there's 20, 20, 20, and 20, 20. That makes so, and because there's 20 in an eon of continuation, and so a great eon would be 4 eons of continuation. But what that's what
Yeah.
it says in the notes.
Yeah, right, but it's unclear because you can't have 4 eons of continuation without the
The
formation
destruction
and
in between.
destruction.
Well,
Right.
that's what I was wondering, is that
Right.
it
Yeah,
is a great eon 4 of those cycles with the destruction in between? Could be.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't mean it has to be continuous, right? I mean,
Well, except we're talking about a period of time it takes to, well, yeah, if we're just talking about a period of time, trying to define a period of time, how many
Right.
times around the clock,
right.
right?
So you
is
start with
12 hours.
formation, you do your 20, and then it all goes
Whatever time it would take to
and
do
then you
that.
start with formation, and then so
Yeah.
because
I
at first I was like, oh, 4 continuation, that's it. But then wait a minute, where's the destruction? So it's almost like the whole thing, you have to go through that whole cycle all the way down to dissolve,
right,
and then revive, we start again.
right, we start again. I don't, it makes me go, "Bleh," I can't get it. I can't get it. Because the
I
time
know, I
frame
want to
is-
draw a picture,
Yeah.
but I don't get it.
The point is a
Okay.
really long time. The point is the really long time and these cycles of virtue, of of lessening and worsening selfishness. Because it's all samsaric. So beings even at the 80,000, they're still believing that they have their own nature, right? The earth they eat has its own nature. They're just have ripening seeds of a lot of protecting life. A lot of moments of not killing when they could have been killing. A lot of not lying when they could have been lying, that make these lifespans that are so long. And then it's not that the selfishness arises anew, it just grows and grows and grows. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, remember that's Abhidharmakosha level, which is all this existing stuff has some nature of its own, not self-existent, but is existing stuff. And from highest worldview, yes, and it's all projected, and so it's real. Right? And somewhere in between, we go, oh, okay, because it's projected, it's just a story about how it might be. And it isn't real, so I don't have to worry about it so much. But that would be a wrong conclusion too, right? Our projections make it such that there are these eons in, right? Ay.
Yeah, I had that almost heated discussion with a friend about, but she was on but science, science is this science, and I'm like, science is just the way we're looking at things right now.
Right.
That doesn't invalidate that the Abhidharma Kosha. I mean, that's science, right? Because it was the science then. Doesn't
Right.
And ours doesn't invalidate it, because 20 years from now, somebody's going to look back and go, oh, those ignorant fools.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. Cool.
Your Lama, I just wanted to comment on Arya Nagarjuna.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he was born, they thought that he wasn't going to make it, even up
Right.
to the age of 7 years old.
Right.
Remember? And their parents were told that if they would do offerings and if they would do the mantras and all those things to the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, that he would get to live at least to 7 years old. And then they did a pilgrimage around India, and they arrived at Nalanda. Nalanda is the monastery. And then they said, okay, let him take vows here and leave him here and see if he can live longer than 7 years old. So in certain ways, it's not known exactly his age of death, but it's believed that 600 years, it's a long, 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 long life, right? And even when he died, he kept on talking, saying, I'll be back. And you know how his head was in
Yeah.
one place and his body on the other place? He said, I'll be back. I'll put my head back together and I'll be back. So
Good.
those beautiful stories about Nagarjuna.
Yeah.
But let's keep faith and thinking that our prayers, our mantras, and our studies are really doing something wonderful for all of us.
Yeah. Right.
Talking about coming back, our teacher was saying that, our next Buddha is Maitreya, and that there are still 100 more to come. And I'm quite interested in that. Yes. So who's coming next? Let's see whether I have the chance to, so yeah, 100, 100 is, quite a long, long time, and then it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Great. Virtue, make virtue, purify, make merit. Name of the game. That's what we're doing here. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We have learned a lot that we will use. It will motivate us to do what we need to do, to become one who can help them in that deep and ultimate way. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your precious holy beings. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the true ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with happiness, filled with loving kindness. And may it be so.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you for teaching.
Thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Oliva.
Thank you, teacher.